Welcome to the Redvee TV preview show, supported by A-Star Recruitment for the 2022 season, as we look ahead to this weekend's round 14 Betfred Super League clash between Toulouse Olympique and the reigning champions St Helens. Kevin, it has been a while, hasn't it?
It certainly has. I see you've been working on your French accents while we've been away with the Olympique. Just missing a berry there, son. Very good.
Sure.
Very good, very good. Jabita St Helens.
Jabita St Helens. Jivante Ons.
Nice. Yeah. Right, rugby anyway. Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it?
It has indeed. Did you watch the game last weekend?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I think Huddersfield had the chances and probably should have converted more of the try-scoring chances if they wanted to win it. You can't let Wigan be kind of within a score in the coming into the last 5 minutes, because they can always do that to you. They say never write the Saints off. There's something similar that surely could be put there about Wigan. Very much German national football team-esque, that you can't write them off, can you?
No, you can't write them off, and we did congratulate our Pirating friends. And you know what? It was really good to actually see them be able to celebrate, especially for their younger fans, because once in a generation events, they can lend our trophies, can't they?
Yeah. Just keep them clean for us.
Yeah. And you know what? The homecoming in the Robin Park car park as well. Fantastic to see. A hero's welcome from the couple of hundred who turned up.
Yeah.
Right. Moving on to the squads for this weekend, Kev.
Yeah, 3 changes. Mark Percival drops out with a minor injury. Josh Sim and Redvee.net sponsor Dan Hill drop out as well. Will Hopolati comes back in, as does Regan Grace and John Benison, all back after injury.
Pretty much the strongest squad we can get out there. Maybe, obviously, Mark Percival out this week, Lewis Dodd out for the year, but it's looking strong again, isn't it?
It is, and that's it. Listen, we got turned over last time we went over to Toulouse, and we'll be looking to kind of put that right. No matter whether you're an expansionist or not, the 2 points are important for us this weekend if we want to just keep kind of that gap at the top of the league. So yeah, listen, us travelling with our strongest squad, and if Percy's got a bit of an injury, there's no point sticking him on a plane and getting him through it. Why not give him another week off and let him come back in next time?
Toulouse squad, Kev?
Yeah, they've made a couple of signings, haven't they? They've got Corey Norman in, they've got who's a halfback, and Daniel Alvaro, who's a prop. They're giving themselves a good swing at survival, aren't they? I don't think they're too far off that. Plenty of former Saints in there as well. But they're giving themselves a chance. And listen, it's what they've got to do, because we're not going to start or we shouldn't start changing the rules halfway through the season to keep a team up, no matter who they are. So, listen, go out and do it on the field. I think, did he play Wakey at Magic?
Yes, I think they do.
You see, that'll be a massive game for them as well. Again, like last time, where they've got a free hit against Saints, they can go out there, try something different, try and turn us over. No one's expecting them to win. They might hope they can win, but I don't think people are expecting them to win. But listen, they're more than capable. They're a good team. They can put good performances in. They're starting to gel. And I still think it'll be a tough one for Saints.
Yeah, they actually played before us. First game at Magic. Wakefield to lose, and then we're on the middle game. And then we'll all go home and not see Leeds and Cass. No, we got turned over there last time, didn't we? I don't think we'll make this mistake twice. Touch wood. But yeah, they're more than capable, aren't they? And obviously, if they can keep on the coattails of Wakefield, if they get them a Magic and beat them, then potentially overtake, level on points, and it's all on till the end of the year.
Yeah, of course it is. And that's their aim will be to try and pick up points. As you say, hopefully we don't make the same mistakes as we did last time over in Toulouse. I think we've changed our travelling arrangements that Saints have gone on Friday morning as opposed to going same day in and out. So, yeah, it looks like we're trying to change things up a little bit and see if it works for us a little bit better. And fair play to the club for doing that, because you can imagine that it incurs extra costs doing that. I know Toulouse pay for us going over there, but you can imagine that we've got to put something towards that rather than just flying in, landing, getting to the stadium, bit of a warm-up and then play. But yeah, listen, I've no beef with Wakefield at all. But you think that if you are an expansionist, Toulouse need to be at the top table. I mean, I would expand the league. I'd see, maybe not for next season, but this IMG deal, if we can get more money in so the pot can be split more evenly across 14 teams, that's what I'd be looking at doing. I wouldn't be looking at taking it down to 10. I wouldn't be looking at keeping it at 12. I'd be getting rid of loop fixtures so we're not travelling out to Toulouse twice. We're not playing teams 3 times in a regular season. And we've got the likes of Toulouse. We've got your mix of traditional and expansion clubs in Super League. I think that's key for the game as it stands at the moment.
Is it a case of maybe the league table? I know they always say the league table doesn't lie, but it's such fine margins. Huddersfield beat Toulouse last time out by a point. They've lost at home to Wigan by a point. They lost by 4 to Hull KR at home after having a big lead. Potentially, there's 3 games where they could have easily won, and it would have pushed them right up the table. They probably would have been, level with Warrington at this point. So, yes, they are bottom, and listen, the final score is the one that matters, but they're not far off in terms of margins.
It's probably the learning curve for them, isn't it? That they've had to go through that kind of heartache of losing by the odd point or the odd try here and there. And then what they've done is they've gone and got that win over us, which was thoroughly deserved. And they've managed to keep hold of that, get the 2 points on the board, and it stands them in good stead. And you learn, it's one of the old adages that you learn more probably from a defeat than you do a win. And they probably found out a lot about themselves as they've got closer and closer to the wins, and now they've started picking up 1 or 2. As I say, I've got no beef with Wakefield. I would like to see Toulouse stay in the top flight, not necessarily at the expense of Wakefield, but I think it's good for the sport that they are getting wins and not just cut adrift at the bottom of the league.
Absolutely right. I know we went straight past the Saints squad, Kev, because that is where because we are coming back to it with our teams that we've gone with this week. There we go.
Yeah.
Now you put our team and alt team. So whose is whose?
Yeah, right. What happens is you send me. Well, I ask you for a team and I do the graphic and that. No expense spent on that graphic. And I had the same team written down as you. Okay. The reason I put the alternative team there is because quite a few people on our social media have said to play Benison at fullback. So Hopewati would play in the centres. And the reason I put that up there is to discuss or to say why I don't think we will go for that, and I wouldn't go for it.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be in total agreement on this, because when I seen the graphic sent over, I thought my team was on the left and you'd gone with the one on the right. Now, my argument for that is, and I'm be shocked if we're not in total agreement on this, Will Hopewati is going to be our fullback until the end of the season.
Yeah.
Moving him to play centre purely because Mark Percival isn't playing this week and is injured results in 2 changes in terms of your back line and your fullback and a centre. Whereas you've got Ben Davis, who's done well in recent weeks, is a centre, and it's just a like-for-like swap. and it gives Hopewati game time and experience in our side at fullback, which he will need moving forward. So it's why make more changes than you need to?
Yes, that's exactly the thing. I think that we're going to be going with this spine of Hopewati at 1, Lomax Wellesby in the halves, obviously Roby at 9, Knowles at 13. I think that's what we're going to try and stick with for the rest of the season. Obviously, that is injury dependent. I think we've nursed Hopewati back in. Well, Christian Wolf said as much, that him and Regan Grace, if we'd have had to play in the cup final, there'd have been a decision to make over whether they came back in, because they were fit and ready to go last week. But we've been able to do a little bit more, and it probably goes back to Mark Percival's injury when he had that hamstring problem for a whole season. And when we could give him a bit more of a rest, we did it, and it's worked wonders for him. And I say that with the caveat that he is missing this week, but we don't know exactly what with. I think you're right. When you're putting a spine in place, you need to keep that spine there for the rest of the season as much as you can. And we're obviously all hoping that Will Hopewati and Regan Grace stay clear of injury, so we've not got to start mixing that back line up again. And we've said it on, I think it was after Warrington, me and Kev said that Ben Davies's time to shine in his usual positions will come. And this is an opportunity for Ben Davies to turn around now and say, you know what, he might not be above Mark Percival in the pecking order, but he's going to give Christian Wolf a decision to make on the other centre. And he's going to turn around and say, listen, if Conrad or Mark are both out, or one of them's out, I could come and do a job. And this is what I bring to the team. So he'll get his chance to shine there.
Yeah. Is it a case of, I know we're going to get into talk about contracts in a bit, discussions this week, obviously, and stories saying Josh Sim might not be offered a new deal next year and may go elsewhere. Is it just a case of we've got that many good young players that a decision has to be made at some point, and maybe Ben Davies has just leapfrogged Josh in the pecking order, and maybe next year Ben will be our alternate centre?
Yes, yeah, possibly so. That's it. I mean, Conrad's not yet been announced as a new deal if he is going to stay. So this could be the chance that he gets. As you say, there's a couple of stories doing the rounds of Josh Sim potentially not being offered a deal and leaving us. That's just how it goes. That's just how sport goes, isn't it? That some people stay at the club, some people move on. And you have a look in the past, say Matt Costello being one who was kind of always in and around and almost making the first team, played some games, didn't really let anybody down. But as it was, you get to an age where you need to be playing first team rugby. And I'm sure Ben Davies will be thinking exactly the same. The difference is he's had a nice run of games there at half back. And he can play second row as well if needed. As we say, it's no detriment to Ben Davies. You don't want to have to play Ben Davies at half back. It's not his natural position now. But he's been in there. He's been a body in there, a fit body in there who can do a job. And I'd like to have seen some more of his bombs go up. Obviously, a bit more of his kicking game. But now we can slot back into his natural role, or one of his natural roles. This is his opportunity again to turn around and go, yeah, I'm your man. This is why I should be in here. I can cover these positions. You need me in your squad.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think the way he's filled in over the last few weeks and just been a steady head has earned him the right to play in his natural position to show the best of what he can actually do.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Listen, he's done nothing wrong. I think he's been a little bit of a square peg in a round hole at playing halfback. And I know he started his career there, but when you kind of move away from playing there, it's going to be a while until it becomes more natural to you. I think with Johnny carrying an injury as well, it's probably not as made us as free in the halfbacks there as well. So yeah, listen, he's got every chance now, and he's got every chance to stake his claim for, you know what, I need to be in this 17 every week.
The four who've missed out this week then, for me and you: Jake Wingfield, James Bell, Dan Norman, John Bennison. Wingfield, Norman, and Bell can feel unlucky not to be in the 17 or our 17, can't they?
Yeah, oh yeah, and that's it. It wouldn't surprise me to see something a little bit different there, and James Bell, for example, in, because the all-action style that he brings to Saints. For example, you could end up with Matautia playing centre still, with Grace outside him, and James Bell playing in the second row or coming off the bench, with Kurt Sirenen starting in the second row. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But yeah, you're right. I think Dan Norman doing a stint in the reserves midweek against Huddersfield tends for me to think that, you know what, we're giving him game time this week at a reserve level, and he won't be in this 17. He's another one who's I know we're getting onto it in a minute, who's yet to renew or yet to be confirmed as renewing, and I hope we do give him a contract, because there's not many props knocking about, and he's coming along quite nicely, isn't he?
There's not many props coming along who will play that third, fourth, fifth prop role as good as he'll be, because obviously we've got Walmsley, we've got Matty Lees there, you're starting props.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to remember we're in a salary cap sport, so
yeah.
you're not going to lose Dan Norman and sign a prop who's going to be in your first 13 starting every week.
Yeah, true.
For that money anyway, right? Contracts then, Kev. Isn't that a delightful sight?
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? Absolutely fantastic.
All bodies that we wanted to keep. There was obviously there was some talk about Matty Lees potentially chancing his arm down the NRL, so that's a really good one to get under our belt. Sione Matautia, I believe there was another local Super League club who were interested in him and didn't realise that the extra year on his contract was in Saints' favour, and that put egg on their faces. So Sione signed up by Saints doing the due diligence and the way they structure contracts, giving us the chance to sign him. Ignatius and Jack Wellesby. Ignatius coming to his own in recent weeks, and then Jack Wellesby's just the prince, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. The King Jack. I think we'll start with Iggy. I think you could argue that Iggy's been our best prop over recent weeks. I don't think that is controversial in the least. I think the impact that he's had off the bench has been outstanding. He's been the prop to kind of... Remember when we had Luke Thompson and Alex Walmsley, and Matty Lees was the one coming off the bench, and you kept that intensity up? Well, Iggy's kind of, instead of just keeping that intensity, he's kind of pushed it to another level. So it's great that we've taken up the 1 year option on him. And I saw someone say, what's with all the 1 year deals? It's literally just the option that we're taking there. It's not us throwing a brand new contract at him. We've literally got a contract that says we can take this 1 year. Everybody's in agreement, and it happens.
And potentially without knowing how the contracts are structured, if they signed 2 years ago on X amount, they're staying on X amount for year 3, rather than us having to renegotiate a new 2 or 3 year deal where a player potentially wants more money. You can look at that in 12 months down the line.
Well, exactly, and it wouldn't surprise me if kind of towards the end of this season, the likes of Iggy and Sione aren't tied down to another deal. The work seems to be done very early. That leads us on to Jack Wellesby, who still had time on his contract. And we've gone ahead and bumped his contract up, so he's earning what he should be earning for a starting fullback in Super League at his age, instead of just keeping him on a low deal. That, you know what, again, the NRL will be looking at somebody like Jack Wellesby, who can play a number of positions, can play him very well. He's big in stature, loads of potential. They'll be looking at him and thinking they can get him relatively on the cheap compared to the salary cap. And when you've got the Dolphins coming into the NRL, who are looking for, 36 players for a roster, 30 players for a roster, would it surprise you if the likes of them, and I know Conrad's been linked with them, but the likes of those 4 players there aren't on the radar of teams like that? It wouldn't surprise me at all.
No, and we have talked about this before, Kev, and I think we just need to reiterate: our squad isn't put together on the fly for the following year.
Yeah.
Saints will pretty much know now who is in the squad for 2024, the names who are going to be penciled in for 2025, potentially 2026. The boards are up there. They will have names on there, and the squad building starts 3 or 4 years in advance.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. We mentioned the due diligence that the club does. It's not a case of, all right, who's available and we scrabble round. We're probably looking at players who are coming off contract in, as you say, in a year or two, and going, would they fit the club? Would they fit what we want here? Have we got someone coming through our reserves? So you have a look at, say, Sam Royal, who's been dipped in a couple of times this season. You know what? Does Sam Royal kind of fit what we need for a second rower who plays 10 games next year and builds up again? Does Matty Foster do that? Or do we have to go somewhere else and pick a player from another Super League team? We'll be doing all that. We'll be behind the scenes, as you say. It's not just done on the fly. There is a plan behind this. And I think from when we first started doing Redvee TV, I think it's improved massively as well. I mean, there's been players signed in the past.
Us or the club?
Both. But the club I'm talking about,
right?
Have we? I think the club have, because I think there's been some players who we've signed in the past, and you think, where's that signing come from? And they've not quite been at the level that we need them to be.
Yeah. For me, you talk about some of them young players there, like Sam Royal. I'd make sure he gets another deal. I think he's shown developments when he's been in the squad, and then we've seen at the Cast game, George Delaney, potentially one of your stars of the future. I'd like to get him under wraps for a few more years, and then there'll be a few more young lads as well who will be looking for deals based on that Cast result or that Cast performance.
Yeah,
and there'll be a few other Super League clubs sniffing around some of our young players, thinking they can come and do a job.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. You look at young Moss at the halfback. He'll be looking at something like that. You think that Taylor Pemberton would be looking at a deal and making sure that he's third choice hooker at the club. If James Roby or the rumour of Brad Dwyer, if that happened, he'd be the one who's kind of the keeping that homegrown 9 mantle. Kind of with us.
So Kev, Taylor Pemberton then, obviously it's still a little bit up in the air about whether James Roby's going to go around again next year. If he doesn't, you can see the Brad Dwyer rumours potentially occurring and him turning up. I know rumours announced on Sky as having signed for next year. I don't believe that's the case as of yet. I think that's a bit premature from Sky to say that. If James Roby goes around again next year, which we all hope he will, because I think we think he's capable of it, do you give Taylor Pemberton another year or two and potentially look at him and his development next year and potentially coming in and potentially being your backup hooker in 2024 behind Joey Lussick?
Yes. Yeah. I think you look at getting him out for game time, wherever that might be, whether it be Championship or League One. I think you look at getting him playing, and I know the reserve structure is back in place. I'm still not convinced that that's possibly the best place for him, just because it seems so haphazard when the fixtures are going to be on and there's not a game every single week. But if you can get him out there playing against seasoned pros who don't care that you come from the St. Helens Academy, who have a win bonus if they beat you and they want to teach you a lesson because you're just a young upstart coming through, I think that would be good for his development. So if he can get game time, whether it be at, I don't know, a Rochdale, a Lee, whatever level it might be, I would definitely. I saw enough from him at the Castleford game to be kind of excited about what his potential and what he could do.
And then young Dan Moss, who you've mentioned there, do we look at giving him a full-time deal for next year?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I think you've got to. I think we look like we're a bit short in the halves. I'm saying that we're putting Jack Wellesby in there, but you've got to kind of keep bringing them young lads through and keep giving them the shot. And listen, he might not take it. That's nothing against him. He might not take it. It's just how rugby goes, that a player who's given a chance might not be able to take it. They might reach the upper end of their limits. They might end up being an absolute world beater. So, yeah, I think so. I think you'd be looking at giving him a full-time contract. Again, he looked good. And I know it's only one performance where, again, it's a free hit. But he looked like he's got something about him.
Yeah. Obviously, we had a few people chatting this week saying that he's been training with the first team. If that's the case, maybe that they are looking at that for next year. I'm potentially giving him a little bit more game time this year as well, if possibly the opportunity arises. And I think for me, that in terms of being diligent, I think that'd be a really good option for next year, given the fact that Lewis Dodd, whose rehab is apparently going really well, but he will come back next year as a little bit of an unknown quantity. So we do need a plan B should there be any setbacks in Lewis's comeback.
Yeah, agreed. And just having him there and being able to dip him in for a game or two, I think I'd be surprised if we don't see him again this season as part of that development.
Players who've not yet signed for next year then, Kev. Start with Regan Grace. Now, obviously, the rumours have all gone around social media the last few weeks that he had signed for Sale. Matt Shaw from Rugby League Live put a story out this week saying he'd spoke to Sale, and Sale had said they hadn't signed him and they weren't in the market for a winger. And then Christian Wolff's come out and basically said keeping him as a priority, and there's a couple of things to iron out, and they're hopeful that they are going to keep him. Now, we know Christian Wolff has said this in the past when he was talking about a priority of keeping Theo Farge, even though we all knew he was going to Huddersfield. So it could be an almighty amount of bluff. But something suggests to me that something might have changed over the last few weeks. Maybe he did have a deal agreed to go to Union and something's happened there and potentially he's reevaluating his options. Could you see him staying for another 12 months? At least?
It wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know if there's that burning ambition to play rugby union and play in the World Cup there as well.
If the World Cup's end of is it at the end of next year or this year?
Yeah, end of, is it next? Oh, I don't know. I'll Google that one while we chat about it. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's more chance of him going than staying, if I'm completely honest with you. I think it's end of what?
Next year.
Next year, yeah. I think that I think there's more chance of him going than staying with how things stand. I get what you're saying about there being a possibility of him staying. But I think the 1 year contract that he signed was that last year, just kind of kept the power a little bit more split evenly rather than being in the club's favour, and allows him to have a look. That said, if there's no one around who wants to take the punt on him because he's a rugby league player rather than a rugby union player, especially just before a World Cup, could I see him signing another couple of years? Absolutely.
But I look at it, he potentially signed that year deal for this year, backing himself to have a really good year and get a really good contract, maybe with Union off the back of it. But does the injuries he's had, he's pretty much missed the whole year so far, bar 25 minutes at Wakefield. Has that hampered his bargaining ability with Union sides to get that deal because he's not started this year? And sometimes it is a case of out of sight, out of mind. And maybe that's potentially reduced his bargaining capacity, which means he may come back to the table with Saints. And listen, we would all be over the moon if we could keep hold of Regan. Obviously, you've got to look at, we talk about it, we banged on about it all the time, salary cap. Obviously, we've got plenty of players in that back line who are on massive money. But then potentially in a year or two time, Tommy Makinson's probably on his last big deal, given the fact that he'll be, 32, 33 the next time his contract comes round. And then potentially, if Regan stays and Regan grows in, does Regan become your top winger? Listen, we're making stories up, aren't we? And grasping at straws, hoping he stays. But yeah, I don't think it's as cut and dried as some would like to have made out.
Yeah, well, you've already made up who Regan played against, because it was Whitehaven, not Wakefield.
I know, I was over there. I remember him hobbling off.
Yeah. I don't think it's as cut and dried. I think you're right there. I'm not entirely sure whether him missing a couple of months through injury is going to change a lot of people's minds, because he'll go through a medical, and I think that would change somebody's mind rather than him missing a little bit of time. And Saints coming out saying we're nursing him back. We think we rushed him back and nursing him back. I don't think that'll have too much bearing on things, to be honest, Dave.
Next couple, Louis. We'll talk Louis next. I'd like to see Louis go around again, even if he plays the sixth prop role in 2023. The elder statesman of the squad, teaching all the young boys how to give interviews and not swear.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not against Louis getting another year either. Again, you're probably looking at him dropping down to the sixth prop, as you say. But if he's still performing, he could still be going on the bench. I mean, what would that make him? 37, would he be? Going round again.
Just thinking about what he's speaking then. At the end of the day, we are still picking him in our 17 now.
Yeah, every week, yeah.
Ahead of Dan Norman and Jake Wingfield. So it's up to Jake Wingfield and Dan Norman to push him out. And Louis might take, he's right at the end of his career. He'll take a year on 5th, 6th prop money. But I tell you what, he'll still be backing himself to make that 17 each week. And it's up to Dan Norman and Jake Wingfield to push him out.
Exactly. And as you say, the likes of your younger lads who are coming through as well. It's up to them to start stepping up. And I think we're probably being a bit harsh saying that he might drop down to 6th prop. Listen, if he's still doing it, he gets picked. There's no two ways about it. If he's still doing it, he gets picked. He brings something different to the pack. He's good around the squad. And I know people are like, well, it doesn't matter that. You know what? It does. If it keeps the harmony there and the morale up, a bit like having Conrad round, then listen, you have a look at and see whether the deal works for the club and for the player.
Okay, Kev, Mr. Harrell. Obviously, there is talk about him going back to the NRL next year. Is it the Dolphins? He's been linked to signing. But then he's enjoying himself here. Would you give him another deal?
I don't know. Is my answer to this one. I think, as you say, he's improving week on week. I think he's getting fitter week on week. I think he starts fitting in with us a little bit more week on week. I think one of my issues is, and it's almost like I'm gonna go against what I've just said with Louis. Do you keep someone? For me, he's got to sign a couple of years if he signs up next, because are you going to stop the likes of Ben Davies coming through if you have Conrad just hanging about for another year? I don't know. I don't know with Conrad. I think Conrad's great for the squad. I think he's fitting into our team decently well. I don't know. I don't know if I would.
And I think a lot of that comes down to finance as well, doesn't it? Obviously, if what we believe is true, Conrad came this year on a massively reduced deal, obviously to prove himself, prove his fitness, get back in the swing of things. I think he's done enough there to be able to say next time round he wants a bigger deal, on a longer deal, and that's put him in the window for NRL clubs and chance for him to go back home. I've got no issue if he goes back. I think he's done enough to deserve it. But equally, do you know what? He's come in and he's played nearly every week for us. Big personality around the club. Again, I'm easy either way.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's what it's almost like that. I don't know. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I wouldn't. I'm glad I've not got to make that decision, because as I say, you've got the young lads coming through, and as we've mentioned about Josh Sim potentially going. If you stop the youngsters coming through, to me, you've got to be a better player, a lot better player. You can't just have people in the squad just because they're a bigger name. That doesn't work for me. So I don't know. I don't know is the answer. And it's nothing against Conrad as a person. I just think that maybe finance-wise, as you say, if you want a bit of a bigger deal, can we spend salary cap money better elsewhere?
Okay. And then lastly, Kev, I think we better finish off by giving big raps to Kyle Amor.
Yes.
After a fantastic Saints career, 4 grand finals, a Challenge Cup, 9 years at the club. He's been an integral part of championship winning squads, hasn't he? And
he has.
I think we wish him all the best. Obviously, it's probably not ended how we would have liked it to. But you know what? He's got himself playing for the rest of the year, albeit with a Paul Warrington team, so he'll feel like a king there. And then obviously there's rumours that he's got a deal at Widnes next year, which will keep him local, keep him in the area. And he's obviously got a burgeoning, is that a word? Media career, which is just going really well for him. And I think we much wish him all the best.
Oh, definitely. Listen, as you say, he goes out as a highly decorated player for us. Potentially the last player we paid a fee for as well, I think, when we signed him from Wakey. Yeah, he does. He goes out. Listen, he's kept his head down, and I think one of the best quotes was from Christian Wolf at the end of last year when we were at a forum, and he said that Kyler Moore keeps turning around and saying, "What can I do to be in the 17?" I give him what he needs to do, and he goes and does it. And that to me shows the professionalism of the man. He turned up at the Castleford game, could have easily turned around and thought, well, we're playing with a bunch of kids here. If we get beat by 60, it doesn't really matter. He made 150 odd metres, was our outstanding prop of the day, led the team from the front. Yeah, as you say, wish him all the best. And that's it. If he has got another deal, and I know people were on about his potential of a testimonial, it looks like he wasn't getting another deal next year if he's sorted one with Widnes. So listen, you've got to take sentimental values out of giving contracts out. But fair play to him. As I say, he goes out a champion with us. Goes out, well, not with Warrington, but he goes out a Wembley winner with us as well. Try scorer at Wembley last year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Champion. And listen, at least when he starts talking to the kids, grandkids, or whoever, he can get his Super League grand final winning rings out and his Challenge Cup winners medal and say, yeah, I was part of one of the best teams ever to grace not only the town of St Helens, but Super League.
I think he posted a photo on his Instagram of a card his kids had wrote him after signing for Warrington.
I saw it, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
His kids are 100% Saints fans, weren't too impressed with his choice of new club. And to be fair, I seen the picture of Kyle holding the shirt up, and the only thing it reminded me of was the infamous picture of Aaron Lennon signing for Everton, holding the shirt up and looking miserable as sin.
Looking miserable. One of my favourite things about that card was the accurate representation of Warrington's badge.
Pussycats.
Oh, that's one of my favourite things ever. You'll probably see that on our Twitter at some point.
Yeah, we might start using that when we play Warrington as the
yes. Yeah.
Right then, Kev. Before we go, then predictions for Toulouse.
Saints by 14.
We always say that.
I always say it, yeah.
Saints by 24. Right. Excellent. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will catch you for the Redvee TV instant reaction after the game against Toulouse. See you later.